Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 10th of December 2018, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, see how they've performed last week, and we'll see what's happening, what to expect from them, potentially expect from them this week. So as always, before we start looking at that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation. It should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay guys, so now then, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on quickly is the DAX. Now, looking at this, last week we saw this nice break here to the downside. Of course, as you all are aware, the equity markets were selling off last week, so DAX was no exception here. And in one of my videos, one of my previous videos where I was covering DAX, I was talking about this level here, the 10,825 level, and I was talking about this one as a potential area of support. Now, this level here, the 10,825, was marked here by the highs that we saw here back in October 2016. So it was the area here that held the price nicely lower throughout August and of course September, October, November, and it only broke it to the upside here in December 2016. So quite an important level this was, and the reason why I'm saying that it was because it now got broken. It's now well, the index closed below that, so to be honest, this is not really looking quite positive for the index, and we could see a potential further decline here. And the level, the longer term level that we're going to be keeping an eye on is going to be the 10,400 level. Now, this has been marked by the low of the 2nd of December 2016. So basically before in December 2016, before the index kind of decided to rush through this 10,825 level, it kind of dropped here to test the 10,400. So in a way, this kind of becomes quite an interesting level to watch here, the 10,400. Keep a close eye on it, but of course, well, somewhere here we could also find some support here as well, and maybe temporarily. So one of the levels that you could watch could be this one here around the 10,600 level, which was marked by the lows of the November here. The second half of November, of course, guys, so keep your eyes on this one. The 10,600 level could be that little pit stop for the index before it could continue traveling further down here. And this is, like I said, this is where we're going to keep an eye on. We're going to keep an eye on the 10,400 level. Certainly the question is, of course, will we reach that or not? But certainly for now, we're going to keep that as our target, and we're going to keep on aiming lower. So for now, if suddenly this reverses back up here, and this is the level that I've got marked here, let me just quickly adjust this back, and this is where we're going to keep an eye on. We're going to keep an eye on this 11,000 level. Now just let me drop this area now, because like I said, the level that we're going to be keeping an eye on is going to be that psychological 11,000 mark. So quickly adjust that, and in order for us to start, let's say, looking at higher levels, we would need to see a move back above this area here, and then of course a move back above these other key areas of resistance, like for example the 11,215 or the 11,275. I know they're quite close to each other, but nevertheless keep your eyes on that one, as a nice good pop above those could open the path towards this little area here at around 11,570 zone. So that was marked by the high of the 3rd of December. So basically, in other words, last week's high. Now, and like I said, in order for us to consider these higher levels, we need to see this one traveling back above the psychological 11,000 level. So, but for now, in a way, long story short, guys, for now it seems more bearish than bullish. So, okay, let's jump into one commodity quickly, and that's gold. Now, looking at gold here, certainly, of course, because we're seeing this sell off in the equity markets, certainly, finally, gold is kind of picking up the its lost status of the safe haven. I mean, previously we saw markets declining, but gold actually was sitting in the same place. But now we can see that slowly gold is trying to push higher here. Now, this is what's interesting here. Looking at this daily chart, you can see that it continues to travel above its travel higher and continues to trade above its short-term upside support. Should I say now it's more of a medium-term upside support line taken from the low of the 16th of August, and this is it. Kind of finally reached one of the levels that I was talking about in one of my previous videos about the where I was covering gold, and I was talking about the 1248 zone. So now you can see that gold managed to reach that area. Also, it managed to reach the area slightly above the 1248, and this was the high here. And to be honest, this was the high of already like today. So I mean the 1251 area approximately there, and this is the level that we're going to be keeping an eye on now, because a nice good push above that could potentially open the path towards the other quite important area of resistance, which is near the 1266, and 1266 was marked here by the high of the 9th of July. So quite an important level becomes that one, and of course, but from the very short-term perspective, keep your eyes on the 1251 zone. So 1251 is going to be that level to watch, especially for today. And jumping into a 4-hour chart, looking at this one, you can see that we are declining a little bit right now. So of course, keep on monitoring this pivot here near the 1245 zone. This is going to be the level that we're going to be keeping an eye on. If gold fails to break below this, now this is where it could become interesting for the bulls. Like I said, because gold kind of continues to travel further up here, this is where the area which could become interesting for the bulls, because if it fails to break, this is where the bulls could take advantage and push the commodity back up again here. So in a way, you could also keep an eye on something like this. It's a bit of a tentative one. I do understand that, and I do understand the fact that, yep, it's something that could be broken, but nevertheless, still something for us to keep an eye on, just for some additional support here. If this doesn't break, and this is, like I said, this is where the bulls could see a perfect opportunity to jump in again. So if this gets broken and the short-term tentative upside support line gets broken as well, keep your eyes on these lower levels, the 1240 and the 1236, approximately there, certainly. But the better potential area of support could be seen around the 1230 zone. As you can see, it acted as a very nice area of support here in the last week, and also acted as a nice area of resistance around the 21st of November. So let me just quickly highlight that for a future reference. And this is, like I said, this is the level that we're going to be keeping an eye on if suddenly, let's say, this short-term tentative upside support line gets broken. But again, for now, everything looks quite positive for gold. Jumping into Bitcoin, basically. In other words, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, looking at this 4-hour chart, is declining now again, even though on Friday, and since on Friday kind of had this nice little reversal back to the upside. Now the only thing is that it could be just classed as a correction, because to be honest, this crypto is quite weak, and of course we could see further declines here. Now, looking at this bigger chart here, and actually let me just jump probably into a weekly one, because this is a bit of a nightmare for those who are trading or buying Bitcoin. So this is the level that we're going to be keeping an eye on, and this is the 3000 level. So of course, keep your eyes on that one. The 3000 was marked here by the lows the lows of the 11th of September, so or the in other words, the lowest point of September last year. So this is the level that we're going to be keeping an eye on, and looking at this weekly chart as well. I do apologize for the amount of lines here, so didn't kind of have time to get rid of those, but basically you can see that if you can see it here, that now looking at this weekly chart, the Bitcoin kind of traveled now closed below the 200 EMA and continues to push lower. So basically, in other words, as long as it kind of remains below this 200 EMA, we're still going to be looking at the downside, and we're still going to be quite bearish on this one, especially given the fact that it is kind of aiming for, now it's aiming for the psychological 3000 level, which was the last year's September low. So in a way, like I said, guys, this is still not looking good for Bitcoin unless we'll see this weekly candle traveling and closing above this 200 EMA here on this weekly chart. So for now, like I said, it doesn't look quite promising, but nevertheless, we could get some surprises here, but still, this is going to be our area to watch, this 200 EMA, and that's a 200 EMA, yep, shown as the black line, and that's approximately around the 4,200 level, something like that, approximately there, guys. So for now, again, like I said, it's looking quite bearish, and given that what we're seeing here on the weekly chart, it could lead towards a test of the 3,000 level. Now, jumping into a few pairs now. So the USDJPY, this is a good one here, and looking at this daily chart, you can see it's still above this medium-term upside support line taken from the low of the 29th of May. So it continues to trade above it, but you can see it kind of continues to test it as well. So this is where we, even though it's still on a positive, more on the positive side, we're still going to be very cautious about this one, because if suddenly this drops below this upside support line, and it closes the daily candle below the 112.25 area, now this is going to be our warning sign, and probably we'll see some more bulls fleeting the field here, and this is where we're going to aim for the 111.75 area, or a little bit lower. To be honest, we could in a way drag this one a little bit lower here towards the low here of the 26th of October, which was near the 111.35 zones, so 37, something like that, approximately there, guys. So of course, before it could reach that area here, we could test the 200 EMA. That could maybe slow down the pair a little bit, but then again, this is the scenario if only we're going to get a nice good drop here below the 112.25 area. For now this continues to hold, this upside support line continues to hold, so be very careful with this downside. On the upside, in order to get comfortable with higher levels, we would need to see this one traveling back above the 50 EMA and the 21 EMA here, or in other words, for those who are more on the cautious side, wait until this gets back above the 113.25, and this is where you could then aim for higher levels, or maybe a retest of this little short-term downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 3rd of October, and then we'll see from there, because as you can see on the bigger picture, it kind of continues, I want to say coiling up, but it's a bit of a weird triangle here. So nevertheless, yep, it's getting slowly squeezed here, so keep your eyes on this one, guys. It's a very interesting pair. So let's see how these levels are gonna play out. And the last pair for this session I wanted to have a look at, and that's going to be euro dollar. Now the euro dollar here, looking at this daily chart, continues to push higher here. Managed to break this short-term downside resistance line here, taken from the peak of the 24th of September. Certainly now testing the 114.35 area. It managed to break it to the upside here today, but quickly got back below it, and now kind of currently sitting just slightly lower than that area. So the 114.35 is going to be the level for us to watch. But in other words, for those who are more on the cautious side, this is what you're going to keep an eye on. You can keep an eye on the 114.70 area, which was marked here by the highs of the 20th of November. So in a way, from the more near-term perspective, if we're looking at some higher levels, we would need to see we would need to see a nice good pop here above the 114.70 level, and only then we'll aim for higher levels like the 115, the psychological 115 level, or even the 115.50 zone. So this is something for you guys to keep an eye on, certainly from the very short-term perspective. Let's have a look at the 4-hour chart. So that's what I'm saying. So keep your eyes on the 114.35. But if this continues to hold as it is right now, you can see that the euro dollar is kind of retracing back down here. Now, certainly, as you can see, it's now kind of sitting between the R1 and R2, and that means for this early morning, it's kind of slightly overextended. So we could see a bit of a decline here, maybe a bit of a correction back to the downside. What you could keep an eye on is looking at this little very short-term upside support line here. In a way, could be a tentative one, but probably even more tentative one is this one here. So you could keep an eye on this upside support line. But basically, long story short, guys, this could be a bit of a choppy session. We could see maybe a bit of indecisive movement here from the euro. But if let's say right now, if you're going to keep on watching this one, if this R1 is going to continue to hold, and we won't see any breaks here below, then yep, I mean, we could see the bulls stepping in here again and pushing the pair back up here towards the R2, and even maybe going all the way here towards that 114.70 level that I was talking about. So for now, guys, keep your eyes on that one. If suddenly the R1 breaks, then well, it could be possible that we could see a retest of the pivot here, which was near the 113.88.90 level, something like that, approximately there. So you could in a way keep your eyes on that one. But slightly below that, we do have a good potential area of support here near the 113.60, marked here by the lows of the 7th of December. So for now, guys, certainly we're seeing a bit of a decline here. Let's see how the R1 is going to play out today, and that is around the 114.15 level. If this is going to hold, the bulls might step in here and drive this one back up here towards higher levels. But if this is going to get broken, I mean, this could open the path towards the pivot here. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me later on in my Trader's Tea Time, and that's 14:15 GMT time. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching and listening, and have a fantastic day. Bye for now.